So we're getting the tie rods off of the 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee and going to give you a few tips on things that we're doing and running into as we complete this project. So we have the castle nut and the cotter pin off of the passenger side tie rod end, and we have this retaining clip that we took out and broke this bolt. These were very rusty, so this one actually broke when we took it out, but we just loosened it up a little with the crowbar and slid it back, and then we'll show you what we're running into on the tie rod where it goes into the bar here. So now we're looking at the bar in the middle, or center link bar it may be called, where the tie rod goes in, and that's where this clip was right here. So like I said, we broke that bolt off, slid that back, and you'll see this has a slot right in here. So the tie rod actually threads in to this centerpiece. So we're going to remove the tie rod now. There's a slot on the other end of the tie rod down there for a 21mm wrench, and in theory you should be able to put a wrench on there and loosen this up. However, it's pretty rusty, so we're going to go with a couple of pipe wrenches, get those on there, and we'll see if we can get this baby loosened. So we have our 2 pipe wrenches on there, and we gave it a couple of good pulls, and it's not budging, so time for the torch. So what we're doing here is heating up the tie rod to loosen it up. We're not cutting this off with the torch, we're just using the torch to heat it up so that we can get this thing loose. So here we go, trying to get this thing loose after we heated it up. Still pretty tight. We might have to heat her up a little bit more. Time for more heat. So we did take a wire wheel to this tie rod earlier in the day, and we've been spraying it with liquid wrench as well to try to get it to loosen up ahead of time. Now we're going to try to loosen her up with the pipe wrenches again, and we'll see if this works. Alright, now you can see it's moving, so that did the trick. And just going to work it back and forth to get it off. So that's really the way to go, especially on a car that's from the Midwest. We're up in Michigan here, so a lot of road salt, a lot of corrosion. Unless you have a torch, it's going to be hard to get it out. Alright, so we're getting it loosened up. Lefty-loosey on this one. So here is our new tie rod end, nice and shiny and new. And we're going to go ahead and put anti-seize on here to help prevent this from getting so stuck in there if we ever need to change this again, or if we need to get an alignment, they'll need to get this thing loosened up. So the new tie rod is going in. It has its anti-seize on there. That way we don't get her locked up in there again. So now we have our wrench. We can use that little slot. And on our new tie rod, it's a 22mm. So the old one, it was a 21mm slot. This one's just slightly different.
Okay, so when we started this, we put just a little tiny nick right there. You can maybe see it. We did the same thing on the other side. And so now if we take and hook it in here, this side, come back to there, we need to be about 56, you want to take that in? 56 1/4, and that way we can kind of keep it pretty close. So what do you need to come out?
We're at about 56 1/8, so
okay.
We're pretty close.
So we'll just drop it back out. We'll get it real close, and that way we don't have to do a ton of adjustment after we get it all together.
And the reason we're doing this is to help keep the vehicle somewhat in alignment. So you may still have to do an alignment after this, but this will help you be able to use the vehicle in the meantime. Okay, so now we're on the driver's side tie rod end, and this one was really bad. Look at all that play in there. This vehicle was driving very sloppy, so we think we found the problem here. So now we just will have to heat this one up, get it out, and get it back into place. So on this side, you have to go lefty-tighty. So because these are opposing threads, so you can make an adjustment with that center bar, the threads are opposite on one side. And on this particular model, it's on the driver's side. You go lefty-tighty. Remember that measurement we told you about earlier You see, now we're on our marks and we're still at 56 1/8. So we'll show you why these are opposing threads. So Andy's gonna just make an adjustment here and keep going. Keep going. A little bit more. Okay, right there. So you saw what he was doing. He was just turning that bar, that center bar that connects the two tie rods, and we got our measurement back to where it was before we started the project.